Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Hey, we're back in the kitchen today, and you know, everybody's got a unique flavor on fried chicken, and so I'm going to put my spin on it today. And here's what I do. I have a exterior seasoning, but I also like to do an injectable, meaning that we inject a liquid into the flesh of the chicken. And so this is one of the brands that I use. It's also the same brand that I use at Thanksgiving. And I get a lot of compliments on the turkey uh, that I inject with this. And for turkey, uh, this is next month is the big month for uh, oven turkey and also deep fried turkey and roast turkey. So there's a lot of different ways. And this right here, this adds flavor into the flesh and it cooks in because you're injecting it with a needle. And so I'm going to show you how to do that today with some chicken. And uh, I've got some chicken legs here that I'm going to put some of the injectable into, and then it's going to sit for 2 hours before I actually deep fry the chicken legs. So we'll go ahead, turn this around, and get started. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is prepare the uh, needle. So there's usually a point protector, and then you'll notice inside some holes here, and I poured out about a cup of the Cajun Creole butter, and so I'm just going to fill the needle up here. You want to get a really good filling of this, and then what we're going to do, we're just going to stick it right in there horizontally as far in as we can, and then slowly draw it out and fill the area with the marinade. And what this does is it adds flavor, but also while you're cooking, it makes it really difficult to overcook the flesh. And you want to inject this in several different places and slowly withdraw, and you should get some coming out. And you want to do as horizontal and as deep as possible to get the flavor in the flesh. And the same thing goes with turkey. I use this, like I said, every year on turkey. I get compliments all the time at how juicy the turkey is and how flavorful. So this is the secret that I use to make my turkey really flavorful and juicy. Uh, and then, when we get too closer to Thanksgiving, I should give you some cooking tips on the turkey also. So what we want to do, just about one full injector full of the Creole butter into the turkey or into the chicken leg. And then now we're going to fill another one up. And the reason why we want to separate, we don't want to draw it out of the jar. You don't want to contaminate uh, because the needle's been in raw chicken and it's contaminated the Cajun, the Creole butter, and you don't want to put that back in the jar and contaminate the entire jar. And that's just part of food safety. So, anyway, back to injecting some more. But also, this chicken sometimes has some loose feathers here. Yeah, I like to pull those off just to make sure they're not still attached, because you still see some attached right here. on the legs, on the very the knee of the chicken. And so we're going to stick this in and inject a lot of flavor in into the chicken thigh. And we can always inject more. You can be as generous or as stingy as you like with the injection, but you do want to get a good coverage of all the flesh inside and out. And if it leaks out, that's okay. That's why I have the tray underneath. So that's pretty good right here. I'm going to just inject that last little bit. So anyway, now this is going to go in the refrigerator for about the next 2 hours so that the spices and the flavors can dissipate into the meat. And then we're going to come back, prepare the chicken for fried chicken, and then we're going to deep fry it in oil. So we'll see in 2 hours. Okay, I've chilled the chicken for about an hour right now. What I want to do is come back and apply the seasoning to the surface. And there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can do a dry rub like what I'm going to do. This is the dry rub that I like when I use Cajun style fried chicken, which is like Popeyes. Popeyes uses uh, buttermilk. They soak the chicken in buttermilk, and then after that, then they put dry rub spices into the flour. So they really don't spice anything on the chicken, uh, but all the herbs and spices and everything. You can look it up actually on YouTube, and you'll find the recipe for Popeyes uh, uh, flour mix. And then you put all of the seasoning into the flour, and then the flour goes onto the chicken. And then you coat the chicken a couple of times, and and from there, um, into the fryer. But right now, what I'm doing, I'm getting the seasoning on here because I'm going to be battering this, doing a dredge of dry and wet, and that's going to make it really crispy. And so I'm going to show you a technique that I've used for a number of years, and it's worked out really well. It works every time, and I'm going to show you how to really make um, your crust stick to the chicken. Because one of the things that really annoys me, I don't know about you, but um, the crust falls off the chicken. That's real annoying, and I'm going to show you how to avoid that because I know a lot of home cooks have that issue where uh, everything falls off, the crust falls off, and you're just left with the chicken meat. And so, anyway, the other chicken that I like, which is crispy, the crispy crunchy chicken that is a newer franchise, and they use injection like what you just saw here. And uh, when I when I used to buy crispy, crunchy chicken, and it was a benefit for my food stamps. Um, you could get, what was that, 16 pieces for $20, and if and they had to give it to you raw. But what you could do, you hand it back to them and you would ask them, can you cook this for me? Which was in the instruction. And that's part of the compliance of the food stamp at the time. And so after that, crispy, crunchy chicken would cook the actual chicken right out of the bag for you. And you come back about 30 minutes later and it was already cooked for no additional cost. So that was one of the benefits. But crispy, crunchy chicken has a lot more flavor. And by adding this, the Creole butter, and there's also other flavors, so you can experiment. But Zatarain's is one of my favorite companies that I like for the Southern style flavors. And they have rices and beans and rice and a lot of different things. But this is also the brand that I use. One of these bottles will do an entire 20 to 24 pound turkey, fully injected. And this is mild, as you see, because you can get a little bit spicier, and so you can kind of play around with it. And this is one of the nice things with injection, because the flavors actually become part of the meat. And so it stays in there, even though you can really cook hotter, and the flavors will stay in there, and then also the meat won't dry out as much. But anyway, this all ready for another hour in the refrigerator. Then we're going to come back. We're going to create the batter and the dredge mix, which is the flour, salt, pepper, and baking soda. And we're going to apply the baking soda to the chicken as the foundation. And cornstarch, I use cornstarch as the foundation. So I'm going to put cornstarch into a plastic baggie, shake the chicken like it is into, and then cover it with the cornstarch. Then that's going to create the foundation for the next layer, which is the wet batter. It's a thin version of the dry powder mix that I'm going to be putting together. And so it's just alternating wet and dry a couple of times, and then that builds it up. And the reason why I do that, that's how you get really, really crunchy outer crust. If you love crunchy fried chicken, this is the way to do it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is going to rest. I'm going to put it back in the refrigerator so it chills for another hour. Then we're going to come back. We're going to, like I said, put cornstarch on there, and then dredge it, and then cook it. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to put the cornstarch onto the surface of the chicken. So we're just going to combine a couple of containers here. That one was almost empty. This one's a new container, so we'll open this up, get this going, and get the first layer, the foundation, on the chicken. So you don't need a whole lot here, just put a little bit in there. And what you want to do also is have a clean container at the ready. And so we're just going to put a plate here, put this plate down right next to this, and as we get it coated, then we will put it on the plate so that it can rest. So anyway, just into the bag, seal the bag, shake accordingly, make sure you get good coverage on the entire piece of chicken. So this is the foundation, and it's the moisture. You want all that moisture, or as much as that moisture, to be absorbed and taken up by the cornstarch. But this is how you're going to get all of your flour and your crust to stick on the chicken. And without it, it just won't stick. I've tried a lot of different things, and then I asked a friend who was a professional cook on that, and she told me that to make everything stick, you want it to look like that. You want this, and then there's another step to this, because this is just getting started here. And so I'm going to clean my hands real quick. Don't throw away that cornstarch just yet, because we're going to continue using that bag. And right now, we don't want to do anything else. We want to just leave this to soak in this moisture from the skin that it's attached to, and that's going to create the base glue that everything's going to stick to. And you can use a lot of different types of flours, but I like using corn, the masa, for the masa flour. It has some flavor in it, also gives it a nice color. It's slow to burn, and it's a nice texture. It creates a nice crunchy texture. But you can use regular flour if you choose, but you're still going to be mixing in more cornstarch, the sea salt, garlic salt, and then coarse ground pepper to the crust mix. So we're going to make that up here real quick, and I'm just going to be right back. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. You start seeing that the moisture is being absorbed, and the cornstarch is turning dark from the moisture. But in the meantime, what we're going to do, we're going to mix up the crust, and so it's real easy. Again, what we're going to do, we're going to use the masa right here, which I've measured out one level cup of masa. We're going to put it in the bag that we use for putting the cornstarch in. So we're not going to waste any of that cornstarch that is left over. And then we're going to put 1 cup of cornstarch, pretty much right. We want 50-50 mix, just about. And we're not going to fill it completely, but pretty close, because we had some cornstarch left in there previously. So we add that in to the mix. Then what we're going to do, we're going to add that is a tablespoon of sea salt. And so I'm just going to add one big heaping there of the sea salt. I like using a sea salt because it's finer and it dissolves quicker than the processed salt that you get on the shelf. Then we're also going to add some little bit of flavor, the garlic salt, or if you have garlic powder, even better. This is what I have on the shelf for right now, and again we're going to add 1 teaspoon. Don't worry about the salt content because that's a lot of masa and cornstarch to begin with, so it's going to really thin it out and you don't have to worry about it too much. So we have that, and then finally the black pepper, the coarse black pepper, and we put a tablespoon in that. So we have all the base ingredients inside there. You can add some other things that if you're doing a Popeye style with dry mix, you would be adding it in at this point so that it would become part of the flour mix. And this is where we're going to shake everything up here and really get the mix ready. And then I'm going to show you a way to avoid having to use eggs. And a lot of the restaurants do this. They'll either use a spray bottle of water or a container, a large bowl of water and ice cubes. Me, I'm just going to use a water bottle. And all you want to do is just lightly moisten the surface. You don't want to soak it, but you just want to get it lightly moist, lightly wet, all the way around. And the reason why you want to do that is so that this mix will stick on that. And then we're going to turn it over, both pieces. Do the same thing. We're going to spray water just lightly on there, just so that it starts getting moist, and then that becomes the glue for the crust. So now you see it's all nice and shiny wet. We're going to take this is the first coating, and unfortunately I did it backwards and all the flavor went on the plate. So well, we'll add some flavor to it before we do the dredging here. Unfortunately, my mistake, but here we go. And you don't want to do too many pieces at a time, otherwise you're going to end up with that. And so shaking this, coming out, it's not going to be a problem, but this is the first dredging, the first coating of the chicken. And so again, you just want to put it down there, get the next pieces in, and then get that coated, close it off. And the purpose of everything here, that we didn't put it into the coating mix because we wanted to lock in the flavor. We don't want the flavor to become fluid and leak off into the cooking oil. And at this time, you know, pick off a few of the extra feathers there. But anyway, we're going to do a couple more coats. Again, let this set up just a bit. So we're just going to lightly spray it again with water. Not too heavy, just enough to get it wet. We're not going to worry too much about the other side. But once again, we're going to throw this piece in. And again, shake it thoroughly so that it gets a good coating. So that's coating number 2. Okay, so each piece now has 2 coatings. We want to get one more coating on there. We want 3 coatings so that it gets a nice thick coating for the crust. And by keeping each layer moist, it helps make it crunchy. So once again, and for the final time, we're going to go in and then cover the chicken for the last and final time, for the final coating. And on this one now, what you're going to do, you're going to let just the moisture run through for about 20 minutes. Just let it rest and then let the crust form. And what you want is just slightly damp surface. And if it's not damp and you still see dry spots, you can come back just before putting the pieces of chicken into the hot oil. You can spray the final dry areas so that everything sticks, and then you don't have so much of the crust mix going to the bottom of the pan. But right now, we're going to go ahead and start getting the oil heated up, and we'll be right back. Okay, now we've got our oil heated up to 400 degrees, and this is the chicken. The chicken has absorbed all the moisture, so it's ready to go in the fryer. So we're just gently going to place each of these into the hot oil. Okay, and so now that this is cooking, it'll be about 25 minutes at this temperature, and then we're going to turn the chicken a couple of times. It's just about ready for the first turn. What we want to do is we want to cook the crust so that it gets an outer surface. But we don't want to cook it. And so this one here was kind of sticking out. This one is also, but I mean, look at how it's puffing up. That's really nice right there. So this is going to be cooking for the next 20-25 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, everybody, this is the final product here, and you can see how flaky it is. I mean, this just came off. It's so light and flaky, and this was cooked for 25 minutes on medium heat, and so the temperature stayed up. And I'm actually a little disappointed that the crust came off on this go round of chicken. As the last go round, it stuck like glue. But anyway, I didn't want to bore you with all the other details and coming out of the fryer and drying. But this is the final product. It's all cooked, and it's really good. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this down and have dinner. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.